You say fuck a lot.
Do I?
Yeah, like at times every second word.
Welcome back to LaRocque Life Podcast, episode number 2. Today we're saying now's the time to come together as a couple and in a relationship.
And really be a team.
Yes.
I think that's most important to say. Because right now we are navigating some really uncharted territories. Is that what you said to me?
That's exactly what I said. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, this is, in my lifetime, the most uncertain times we've seen in the world. And I mean, I don't even know about our parents' lifetime, right? Like,
yeah. It's like I said, the war, like the Second World War, then like the Cold War and stuff with the bombings. But I mean, I don't know how much that even affected Canada as compared to the States. I don't know.
Yeah, like school closures, everything is shut down, right? Like we're literally quarantined. So
we are.
Super, super interesting times with so much uncertainty, which is really just bringing us together a lot more, but we don't have any distractions, right? So we're coming together more. We have less distractions. There's nothing on TV.
I know, my beloved TSN is all reruns. Come on.
Binging on Netflix, but yeah, no live sports. And there's a lot of increased fears and worries and anxieties. And we've actually been hearing, because it's been about a week now, right, here in Canada.
I'm getting serious, yeah.
Yeah, where people are really like locked up at home. You started working from home this week.
Yeah.
So couples are kind of getting a little snappy with each other, impatient with the kids, and just not really sure. They've been actually asking us tips on how to kind of navigate this, right?
100%. It's crazy the amount of time, even just time you're spending with your partner now in such close quarters, and it's not like you just, I don't know, go on a shopping spree to get your mind off things or go do anything crazy. It's you're stuck in it. You got to figure it out. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think what's craziest about it though is like it's not like, oh, we just have more time together like you're on a holiday. Like it's that uncertainty as well, right? Like so much fear and worry about it as well.
Yeah, it's not like you're on holiday and it's like, oh, life's going back to normal in a week.
No. So we just want to talk really quickly today on, what it means to come together in your partnership, in your marriage, in your relationship, and really being on a team. Because I know we talked on this a little bit last week on our first episode about how, you fight enough wars out in the world, right, at work or out in public, that when you walk in your door, it's really nice to just know that, like, you're safe, you're secure, you're on the same page. But everyone's fears and worries are bubbling, and so now is just like such an ultimate time to have that opportunity to grow together, right? So we're going to give you some tips, what we've really been working on the last few years and now ultimately getting to test in these uncertain times. And is everything okay?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure it was.
Oh, okay.
I had a weird feeling, so.
Oh, you got to trust those feelings.
Yes.
But yeah, so basically this is like the ultimate test for our relationships, right? So we want to touch on a few points, and number one being is something I always talk about with my clients is you need to take care of yourself first, right? Yeah, you can't be patient and respectful of your partner or even your children if you're wearing thin. So it goes back to the whole oxygen mask, filling your own cup. You have to take care of yourself before being able to show up for them. So I wanted to give you a little bit of advice and tips just navigating through this, what I find is working for me and what I've been talking to other people on and finding is working for them. I'm just going to kind of touch on this quickly because I don't want to give you all the things you're already seeing out there. We want to really jump into the relationship stuff today, and we want to make this quick for you. So I think it's really important to be including a routine still. Like, even though you are home and maybe the kids are home or you're working from home, like, get up, have a shower, put on some makeup, get dressed.
Do everything. Sit there, have your morning coffee, and just get ready for the day. Don't just let that linger, because I just said that before. You do that on a Saturday, and then like 6 hours goes by, and you realize, like, damn, there goes my Saturday that I've worked all week to get to, and I just fiddle fucked it away in my pajamas.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I think it's really important to really find some time for yourself, because I know I'm saying create a bit of a routine, but the routines they're new. They're new for everyone, right? The kids aren't going to school. They're not going to day home. Your husband's working from home or you're working from home. So even, I think today's Sunday, right? But all the days are all mixed up now.
It is kind of meshing, yeah.
When we're recording this, it's Sunday, but even just this morning, I woke up and I was feeling a little off, and I said to Mike, I just need like 30 minutes to go downstairs and do some yoga and get my mind right. Otherwise, it's going to be a terrible day for everybody. I just felt like
That's fair.
Lennox was nagging at me and I was snapping at Mike. And so I just asked. You simply just have to request. And you gave that to me. You kept Lennox busy, and I got to come downstairs and do yoga for 30 minutes. And I came up. Do you think I came up differently?
Oh, I definitely switched, yeah, or not switched, but just changed a little bit. Energy changed. It's tough. It's fucking chaos, right? And it's nice to be able to step away and give that to each other too. Don't just it's not a one-way street by any means.
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways for sure.
Yeah.
But I just want to touch on a couple other things, like really right now, the food that you're eating, the water that you're drinking, moving your body. Not only is it important for your sanity, but obviously your immunity, right?
This is the time you need it. Yeah, this is the time you want to be the healthiest possible person you can be.
Yeah, and I know for us, like when we're off routine or sometimes on weekends or we're on holidays, we're like, oh yeah, like junk food day, or let's have a treat. But we've really been limiting that because, I mean, who knows how long this could last for, and we don't want to get unhealthy. We don't want to risk our health even more. But at the same time, like that helps your mind be in the right place as well, right?
Yeah, I know I joke about it earlier too, where it's like the food you put in yourself, that's what you're going to become. Like you are what you eat. That's a real thing. And you always go for junk food or comfort food when you're feeling shitty or feeling anxiety. And now would be the time to sit on the couch and just crawl under a blanket and hide, right? But I know better than anybody when we were out in Vancouver. I didn't sell a car, come home 12 hours later and sit on the couch and eat a whole package of pepperoni every night. Those nitrates start to wear on you, and they definitely, it's not putting happy thoughts in your mind then by any means. So you're not helping anybody by doing that to yourself.
Yeah, just fueling the worry, right?
That's all you're doing.
So on that note too, shut off the news and limit social media, because all you're seeing on social media is all about the virus. People are getting a little bit
starting to get
snappy.
Edgy.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are lightening up a lot more now and trying to have more fun games and stuff. But I think it's just really important to limit that kind of stuff, because, again, just like what we eat is what we are. What we feed our minds is what we're creating more of, right? So creating more peace and love by doing other things like reading, taking up crafts. I mean, even sleeping. You're boosting your immunity and not just mindlessly doing something that's not serving you.
For sure.
Laughing, playing, having more fun. Oh yeah, and you wanted to touch on studying.
Yeah, just studying for anybody, but like for myself anyway, for men. I found, I guess men and women, but I found that on YouTube was where I really first started kicking off, like years ago, to catch up and just a personal development journey. And you can find mentors anywhere. Like right now, it's kind of tough to find an in-person mentor because you're not going to go for coffee or do anything. But even online, like you can find these guys, their videos. Craig Platt was a big one for myself, or Plitt. He's a fitness guy, but like crazy fitness guy, cover model magazine or cover model for like hundreds of magazines and all this crazy stuff. But he was so into personal development, but he really spoke to a guy like in your 20s or 30s that it really kind of hit home. He's no longer with us. He passed away, but still you can go back, watch his videos and really take from him and take a lot out of that. And there's some older guys, more wisdom. There's like Alan Watts. He's got all these crazy speeches and lectures that he did back in the day, and there's so much gold in those. And now there's a lot of people that remix them. They put a lot of music to them, so it's a great way to even work out in your basement or in the living room. So you got some really good music, but then you got Alan Watts in the background talking about life and death and all the wild, crazy things. So there's so much information out there. You should really take this time to study a little bit instead of just again, just mindless stuff. This is a great opportunity. It's a great excuse to sit down and really get into it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is a great opportunity to start doing the things that you actually wanted to do that you weren't distracted with before, right?
Well, there's always a football game on, or went through a bit of a curling patch myself here lately.
But I also think that it's very important to allow ourselves some time as well. So I think learning information is great and inputting is great, but also allowing ourselves to just be with our feelings too, because there's a lot coming up right now. There's a lot of fears, a lot of worries, and we're going to touch on that in a few moments. We're going to go deeper into that, and kind of what we have found helps to navigate through that stuff and allows us to be more present and move forward in our life without being too anxious and stressed all the time. But this one will be probably a little bit more for the women, but men as well. I think you guys do need to be a little bit more on this side, but having grace with yourself, right? Like, we think we need to still be doing all the things and like not feel certain ways and like judge ourselves for maybe fears or thoughts that we do have coming up, but it's all natural. It's all okay. We're all, again, in uncharted territories. We've never been here before. We're all scared. I mean, I've worked through a lot of fears the last couple of weeks, and we will go into that a little bit more. But I just think it's really important right now to not judge yourself, specifically yourself. We'll get into your partner as well, but on anything that's coming up for you and giving yourself that time and that space to explore it, because I think this is ultimately, you know, where we're moving forward to and leaving that stuff life, behind here. Yeah. But yeah, so having grace. Okay, so we talk about self first because in order to show up for our partner and to be a team, we have to be respectful. We have to have patience, and that's why we need to fill our own cups first. But what we're really passionate and excited about teaching is the relationship side of things, right? Because they're so intricate and they're so interesting, and we all are coming with our own belief systems, our own hurts. This is bringing up a whole bunch of stuff for us, but you know, he might not understand what's going on for me because, again, my childhood was different than his. Yep. I have different fears than he does. So the things that are triggering within me, he might just be like, it's not a big deal. So we want to really kind of go into that because that can cause frustration. That can cause, you know, feeling like you're not supporting me. And then it can cause snapping and fighting, right?
Yeah. And it's going to be no fun when you're in the same house together. Like, it's just not fun if you're snapping at each other all day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, spending all of this time together is way more enjoyable if you can be laughing and
absolutely
and not stressing about what's happening and what your future looks like. But on the same note, we're not like unrealistic. There are fears, and there is real stuff that is impacting us day by day, and so we do need to go into that for sure.
Yeah, and it's hitting everybody different. It's it's tough.
We're not just going to like sweep it under the rug, right? So my biggest recommendation for couples is to really be able to sit together and hold space for each other, to listen without the TV on, like listen without those distractions, and really just like be there for your partner, while they express what's going on for them, and you don't need to fix it.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with us guys, or the masculine energy in the relationship. Anyway, it's always trying to fix that problem. I don't even think you're listening. Like I don't now. I learned a lot of tools for it, but before I would listen for the first 10 seconds, find out what that problem was, and then dissect it in my head while you're still talking.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm annoyed because I'm like, you didn't even listen.
You didn't listen, and then you come up with a fix. In your mind, you think that fix is gold, but in reality, it's like, you idiot, I don't need that.
And generally as women, we just want to feel heard. We want to have our feelings validated, right?
Yeah.
And so what I really need is your presence. I want you to be listening to me, and I want to just feel like it's okay to feel these feelings, right? Like it's safe. And so some of the things that I know are coming up for people and have come up for us as well. So our exercise has been to really just go into it. Like, go deep into whatever that fear is that's causing you anxiety or causing you to be uneasy and to snap at the kids and snap at your partner. So I just kind of jotted down a list of a few things that I know are really big right now for people. Like, people have either already lost their jobs or they're worried about losing their jobs because we don't know how long this is going to last, right?
Nope.
Then if you lose your job or your business, right? Like,
that's a big one. A lot of people,
yeah, there's a lot of stress around that. And then also that could then lead to losing your house. Like, so see, what we're doing here is just getting deeper and deeper. So if I lost my paycheck, then I can't pay my mortgage, then I lose my house, then where will we go? Where will we live? And you just keep going deeper and deeper with that. We'll spend all of our savings. We're fighting. I might get a divorce. Like, what are all of the things? What's ultimately at the root of what's causing your anxiety and fear? Maybe you're worried about getting sick from the coronavirus, right? Or maybe you're worried about your immune compromised child or partner or parent getting the virus, and it's keeping you up at night stressing about it. And then ultimately, I have found for myself at the end of every fear is dying.
Well, that's true.
Right?
This is not a lot of people look at that, but now this is kind of throwing that mortality in your face to really, you got to think about it. And everybody, it's not just like a chosen few. This is affecting the whole world. So, you really got to look in the mirror and figure that out for yourself. In men's group, and we talked about that quite extensively on Saturday, just about death and dying and everything around that, feelings about it. I came to terms with myself, actually, like with dying a few years ago on a retreat, and I really came to grips with it, and I'm okay with that. And the only thing that I'm scared of, or that really worries me around dying, is just my own selfishness around not wanting to lose or give up like Lennox and give up Laura. That's my only fear that even came up on that retreat, was I was freaking out because I lost Laura. And those are, to be honest, like, that's the only thing that scares me, and I'm okay with the rest of it. I really am. It's just, and I know whatever's on the other side, like, who knows, maybe we meet up again, maybe we don't, maybe your computer and you just shut you off and you go to sleep. Like, you just don't know, right? So that's the only, there's a bit of uncertainty, but I'm really okay with all that, aside from losing you and Lennox. But it's been a long journey to get there, and you really go back and forth in your head, and there's times where you get really, almost call it cowardly in my own head, where you freak out a little bit for a couple minutes, and you're like, oh God, what's going on? Or you're really not to terms with it. But for the most part, I'm okay. Like, how do you handle it, or how are you?
Oh, I would definitely have gone through a lot of fears of dying. And even in the last couple of weeks, it brought up new things. This is the thing. I mean, we think we're cool with something, and then something happens in life that brings up deeper stuff, right? And it gives us the opportunity to go deeper, to really work on those traumas and those wounds and those triggers. But for me, I'm not afraid of dying. What I'm afraid of is suffering.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
I don't want to suffer to die. I also don't want to leave Lennox, right? I think I was having this conversation. It was actually interesting, because I was having this conversation with my mom, and I said, I don't want Lennox to die before me. Like, I'm the parent, I die first. But then it was funny, because I was having that conversation with my mom, and she's like, well, yeah, duh. Like, she doesn't want me to die before her. So it's just funny, right? Because we're more concerned about, like, who we're leaving behind, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So that would definitely be my fear of dying, is that the people I leave behind are taken care of emotionally and mentally, but then also suffering. But suffering is a perspective, right?
You could say we suffered our life, like, you could suffer in life, and that could be the ultimate release. Like, it's so hard to say.
So I think getting good with that within yourself helps take away that fear and that anxiety of what's going on today in the world, right? Like, ultimately, if I was okay with death, and okay with leaving my people and knowing that they're okay, then what is there to be afraid of right now? But here's, like, the biggest thing, I think, is our egos. And that brings into play the first few things I mentioned, which is losing our jobs, losing our houses, losing our businesses, spending all of our savings. Because I know for us, when we went down that, because when this all first started happening, we were kind of like, okay, we were a little on edge. and like what's the uncertainty in here. But we did this exercise and we just like held this space for each other and went into it, and we made a plan. We made a worst case scenario plan, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
we like to ask that question, like what's the worst that could happen, and go there and shine the light on it, because oftentimes these feelings, they bubble and they're causing like all of this distress and anxiety and worry within us. But then once we like shine the light on them and actually go there, we're like, oh, well, that wouldn't really be a big deal.
Yeah, there's always ways around it. Yeah.
Right. It might be a shot on your ego because that's not what you thought you would be living at 35 years old or whatever.
Oh, for sure. And definitely the masculine in that, it just takes a kicking, right? Because this is what you're supposed to do, being the man or being the masculine. And yeah, when you can't provide or you can't get those things or do those things, then yeah, your masculine's gonna take a hit, your ego's taking a hit, everything is really getting beat up.
Yeah. But so ultimately, this exercise is a way to really just like go deep, go to worst case scenario, get cool with worst case scenario, whatever that looks like. You might have to accept it over some time, but once you're there, and I know like once we've done that, we made our worst case scenario plan and we laughed about it because it seems pretty laughable, but it also seems like super crazy that we live in this is
yeah, it could actually happen. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm just open to anything, right?
At this point, it really is. Yep.
Yeah. 100%. Like this just seems so out of control. So we're cool with whatever. Like we know personally that we're okay. Like we have family, like we can group together. We're not going to be homeless. Like we'll never be out on the street cold and hungry.
No, we'll be protected. We got,
Right. So then now we're just like, okay, cool. We're going to live day by day. We're going to do the jobs that we have and work with the clients that we have and just keep creating and taking care of ourselves and be healthy and whatever happens. We just know we'll be okay, right? And
well, that's the thing, yeah. If any of those survival movies taught us anything, like you have to be strong, you have to be very clear-minded, so we can't be all bogged down with junk food and brain fog or anything like that. We gotta be in shape, we gotta be sharp mind, and we gotta be okay with each other. Also, we're gonna spend more time fighting each other than whatever issues we have in front of us.
And do you think that you feel less stressed or anxious, I guess, now at this point of the week versus earlier in the week, like since we did that?
I think so. And there was so much uncertainty, like with working from home, what that looked like and what that even entails. Like this is all so uncharted to me. But really got into a rhythm with work and got very productive, smashing that out. And then, yeah, just having the conversations that we've had, doing some of these exercises is the biggest thing though, like you said. It really it's just another thing to knock off the list, or if you to check off that you don't have to worry about, or that's taking up bandwidth in your mind that it's just one thing off the list.
I feel as a woman who likes to control things, I mean, I've definitely gotten a lot better at that over the last few years, but like I like things to be perfect and I like to have control to certain degrees now still. And I feel like this is the ultimate, like the ultimate test. Like you are in control of absolutely nothing. So you better get cool with that. And I really feel like on the other side of this, that's going to serve, I know, me so well. And I've had a chat with a few women who feel the same way. Like we're not in control. All we can control is ourselves, right? And how we show up. So that's kind of, I mean, it's cool if you think about it that way.
It is. And these are all things that be said long time ago for years and years and years. But then when now push comes to shove, like now we got to rubber meets the road. You got to practice what you preach. And it's really showing like I feel I'm okay. I feel okay with things. Yeah. But it's been, you just got to have the right tools and actually do the work, and it really does pay off.
And I think too, like, so that kind of leads into another exercise or tool you can do with your partner is really shift your perspective, right? Like get grateful for what you do have, which is our health, which is our home, which is our jobs, which is the pantry full of food now that we have stocked up a little bit. Not crazy. I shouldn't say stocked up. It's not like we went like
we're very fortunate though, eh? Like we got lots of canning and stuff like that. So with your mom, she provides a lot of that. So we're very fortunate, and we definitely can't complain.
No, and that's just like I said, a good exercise, right? Like shifting your perspective and getting really grateful for what you do have. And essentially this is really a reset. Like
Big time. Been saying that for a while, hey?
yeah. Like really what does matter to you in your life. And I know you were saying that, was that yesterday when you were like looking out the window?
Yeah, just just look outside, check stuff out. I mean, I think I said that on Saturday too with the men's group. Like this is the time now to just unplug, and maybe this is what it's all meant for, to take the time to go to realize how blue the sky is and take time for yourself and nature and just to get reconnected with different things. Um, I'm already finding what's it been like 2 weeks, I guess we'll call it, better part of, with no sports really. And I'm already like, I was a fucking sports junkie, right? Like TSN was the only channel that was on aside from Discovery Channel. And then like, I don't care really. It doesn't affect me either way.
And I'm so grateful for no TSN.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just, so that's just a huge distraction. There's your prime hours, because it's always on prime times that stuff's happening, that use this time for more work, and just getting to know yourself better and getting to know, like I said, just nature. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, and you also got back out in the garage, right? I asked you to make me a shelf, and you got out in the garage like right away. And
yeah,
it's
already
awesome.
Up on the wall. And there's your space too, right? Your personal space, because again, you got your partners. You guys are home. Maybe you're not used to being home all the time together, so you're like, you had that 10-12 hours when each other were at work or one was at work. So now you're home all the time, which is a great excuse that you do need private time. Like, it's not all just relationships, obviously not hand in hand 24/7, right? So you need time apart, and definitely the garage is my real reprieve. You can just go there, turn on some tunes, shut your head off, and yeah, just go nuts. So again, just finding those hobbies, getting back into hobbies, finding yourself. It's been a blessing in disguise, really.
Well, and would you not say too, though, that we realize how dependent we are on everything right now? Like the grocery stores are running out of stuff, or like you're only so many people are allowed in the grocery store at a time, or
security at Costco. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool too to like really take this time as well to go back into like, well, what can you make in the garage? What come spring, like what could we grow? Like how can we become more kind of self-sufficient?
I honestly think that this is one of the, like, it's happening for a reason. I said it all the time for years about like bubble bursting. It has to, at a certain point, something had to give. Like people are, myself included, by no means do I mean people, like we're just turning into robots. Like you're constantly glued to your phone. You're just always, you're connected. I'm still find myself like that a lot. Like even if you're working out, if you had music on, you can't just do that. Like I gotta have YouTube on. Or if I'm watching a movie, I gotta have my phone so I can look up the actors. Like, who the fuck cares about looking this up? It's just things like that. So to get unplugged from some of that, I'm the worst one, like by all means. So it's definitely helping to really. Yeah,
it's ultimately a nervous system reset as well, right? Like
it really is. Like you fucking you're always grabbing for something or wanting to turn something on or needing that background noise. You can't just be.
Yeah, and I know I learned in marketing, I think the average attention span is like 2 seconds or something like that. So to catch someone's attention, like when they're scrolling their social media or something, you have to have like such a catchy headline, otherwise you'll just scroll through. And you just explained it, right? Like, or like watching a movie is not enough anymore. I need to watch YouTube. I need to be doing this and doing this. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool that it is a reset in that way as well. And so that's again where I'm going back to just a shift in perspective, right? Like, let's look about how this is happening for us, not happening to us. And I know there's deaths happening and people are getting sick, and my heart goes out to all of the people who are dealing with that.
Absolutely,
right?
Yep.
But we can only talk about what we're here, what our gift is, right? And that's helping couples come together. Yeah, exactly. But also I think that a thing we should touch on too is like a really cool aspect of this is humanity, like coming back together again, right? And a great way to shift out of your own shit is to be of service to somebody else. So it's, if you already work online or in a space where you can create stuff for people, I think it's so cool to be watching on Facebook now how like Like my sister-in-law started a Red Deer group
Mm.
for people who, if they need something, like they can't get to the store doesn't have it or whatever, like you can post in there and someone will come drop it off. And then I know there's like a wellness group I just got added to where people like a fitness industry are going live every day to offer like a free class of some sort for people to stream at home. And I mean, there's so much, like I know lots of coaches, so they're doing like free challenges and like offering free calls. Like everyone's just really showing up for each other.
100%.
And then even on a physical level, like my neighbor next door, I don't know. I don't want to put an age on her.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's retired and her grandkids can't come over anymore because they're quarantining away from them. And so Lennox and I were outside playing yesterday and she came out and she just said, every time I see you outside, I'm probably just going to come and stand at a distance and talk to you because she's lonely. And I'm just like, of course. And whatever you need, like we'll get it for you. So I just think it's really cool to see how everyone's
It's just human nature,
together.
right? Like I feel we were getting pushed apart for the last couple hundred years, really. And then now it's just, yeah, it is. It's human nature. It's what we do. We're community based. We're supposed to be in that environment, right? So as much as we'll kind of veer away from that, I think we're ultimately always going to shift back to protecting our tribe and taking care of each other.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Community, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so we're almost ready to wrap this up for tonight. But I did want to talk a little bit too about just like with your partner, taking this opportunity to talk about your future. Because I think a lot of us are a little underprepared for this.
Big time.
Right?
Big time.
You just never think that things are going to happen to you, right?
Not like that. Everyone's always like, have an emergency pack, have some water in the house. And you're like, yeah. We live in central Alberta. We're probably we're the safest we'll ever be.
I know when we lived in Vancouver, I was like, yeah, okay, we need an earthquake pack. But did we have an earthquake pack survival kit after a year? No. So I think it's just really cool, or not really cool. It's a really good idea to, again, have this open discussion, no judgment, no need to fix, but just like really start throwing out ideas. Like, what do you want your future to look like? Right?
Yeah, big time. And if you can, use a whiteboard or some paper or something and just kind of mind map / freaking brain dump and just get ideas down and nothing stupid. And then you can sit there and kind of rearrange them together and see what makes sense and see what jives, just so you got some options. Yep. And it's hard. You got to leave your ego at the door because, like, as a man, you'll want, I can provide this, and this. Just give me a chance. But like, it's just you got to be realistic with what we got right now and just put those pieces into play, and then we can arrange them however we need, right?
Yeah, and I think for sure, like a lot of people are now thinking about finances moving forward, right? Like,
money's a big one right now.
And jobs and positions, right? Like we just realized nothing is really guaranteed at all. So
No.
I think it's just cool to open up that conversation, right? Like, what do you want your future to look like? What are ways we could secure our finances or create multiple streams of income, right? Like, how can we make sure that we are taken care of in something moving forward? And then too, like just acknowledging how much more present you're able to be in this moment and how much more love. I know like I'm feeling a lot more present and a lot more loving because there is not the distraction. So if life were to go back to the way it was before, I don't want to go back to the way we were before. I want to write that down. So I'm like, let's stay present. Like, let's shut off the TV. Let's go out and play. Let's be together more. And really just focus on what matters because that's ultimately what is happening.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right? That's what. Yeah, this is the biggest. I don't even know what you want to call it. Like it's putting a magnifying glass on your relationship or on your parenting. Like I mean, this is you got nowhere to run, you got nowhere to hide. It's you're in it, right? So you have to figure out ways, and you have to be you have to come together because it's gonna be it either is hell or it's gonna be hell. Like living together or trying to like live in this house where you're not getting along or your kids aren't getting along, and you just got to make the most of this.
Yeah, and I always say to my women clients that I work with, and I mean men as well, but like our kids are watching us, right? They're always watching us. But even right now, I've seen this meme going around on Facebook where it's like our kids aren't really going to remember this pandemic, but they're going to remember the way the house felt, right?
Yeah.
They're going to remember the experience of it. And I think that goes for their whole life, right? Like they're not going to remember certain experiences or things that happened in the house, but they're just going to remember how they felt in the house and their whole upbringing, right? And we as parents get to be that for them, right?
Absolutely. And like in a selfish way, or like there's your ego again as a man. For myself, like I want to make sure when Lennox is an old boy talking about this, like the great 2020, my dad was a fucking badass and he held it together and he helped everybody around us and he did different things. Like I want him to talk like that, not, it was just a lot of fear in the house and everyone was yelling and whatever else, right? Like that's my own projection onto that guy, but that's the way I'm looking at it or trying to play it out in my head because like you said, the kids are always watching. Like you have to be that example. For sure you do.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I said, if life goes back to the way it was, but ultimately I don't think life's going to go back to the way it was. I don't think it can. I don't like.
Too many people are going to start waking up to different things and it's just,
there's a lot of stuff happening, that's for sure, at the core. But even just the things that we're going through in this with these fears and these worries and these struggles, it's just going to be creating a different world on the other end. So, I mean, ultimately wrapping this up for today, I think having faith is huge.
Yeah.
Because just knowing that everything is working out and really that if you guys are on the same page, if we're on the same page, we can figure it out as we go. We don't need to know, the whole staircase. We just need to know each step as we're going along.
Yeah.
And be on the same team because that's going to make things a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, as long as you're on the same team, this is the biggest test, ride or die together, right? So, no, I got your back no matter what.
And what did I say earlier? You don't have to agree on everything. I don't think being on the same team means like always coming to the same agreement and like all that kind of stuff. But it just means having respect for each other and being able to communicate what you're feeling and be there and listen. And then making an action plan from there, right? That works for everyone in the house. But
yeah, absolutely. No,
cool.
I like it. Well, that was awesome. Till next week, Tuesday. I know we never talked about this on the first one, but where do people find us or yourself?
Well, you can find LaRocque Life on Facebook. Our Facebook page is LaRocque Life. And Instagram, we do have an Instagram account. It's not super active right now, but we'll be changing that moving forward. So follow us on Instagram or Facebook under LaRocque Life. Or if you want to follow me specifically, I am Laura LaRocque, also Facebook page and Instagram. So you can find me in those two places.
Perfect. Okay, well, till next Tuesday, we shall see you later. I love you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, I love you guys. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Love you.
Love you.